Alright, right out of the way. So, today we're doing the ring gap. I've already got a couple of the first rings done. There's mixed emotions on the internet on a lot of these forums and stuff, people talking about ring gap. It's not going to hurt to run them a little big, but you gotta, best case scenario, I'd say go by the formula. There's several different formulas on there. I think I found 3 different formulas. My ring gaps come out different with each one of them, so I just went with the middle one. And what a lot of people were saying online is a lot of their measurements are pretty close, so I'm just gonna go with the middle one, I guess. But I've come up with 19 for the first ring, 0.019. I guess that's 19 thousandths. I've got 1, 2, and 3 already done. I'm going to do 4 here in a second. We'll try to make this quick. That's just on the upper rings, the top rings. I haven't done the second ring yet or even checked the oiling rings, but I've got the top ring on 1, 2, and 3 done. We're going to check number 4 right quick. And I need to pull number 1 out and put it over here where my other ones are at. I've got an old piston here. I just took the other rings off. I moved the second ring down to the oiling ring groove, and I just press it down in there till it stops. Ooh, that is a little gap. See, now that's probably close to what factory gap should be. Let's check 12. See, 12 just barely tries to start. So I've got to come up a lot to even get to my 19 on this ring. I'm filing this by hand. I'm doing all these by hand, one at a time. I'm not doing the second rings until I get done with the first rings, because a lot of the manufacturers say the second ring is softer metal because it don't hold the heat that the top ring gets. The top ring gets the brunt of the heat and pressure. Your second compression ring doesn't get that much. When these are in the cylinder, oh, wife just got home. When these are in the cylinder, there's a little bit of a taper to it. The closest part of the ring that's touching the cylinder on the gap is actually smaller than the outside here, or should I say the inside. The outside of the ring touching the cylinder has actually got a smaller gap than the inside. So I'm going to lean toward the outside a little bit, file at an angle, and try to straighten this gap up. And I want to get it on 19 thousandths. I'm using a diamond file. It's not real coarse, it's pretty fine. It takes a little bit of time. It's real time consuming. You want to file in one direction. Honestly, I'm filing toward the outside when I should be filing toward the inside. So don't jump me for this. But I'm going along and I'm taking my burr off when I get done with it, and just barely nick the edge of it. I should be using a ring filing tool, but this is a budget build. I don't plan on building another motor for a while, so I really didn't want to shell out $50 to buy a ring filing tool just for one use. You see, I work in a glass manufacturing plant. We make automotive glass for vehicles. and they outlawed, our plant outlawed these files. We're not allowed to use these files on glass anymore. So instead of throwing it away, make sure I got the burr off of that. Instead of throwing it away, I just brought it to the house for a little oddball stuff like this. Ring in, ring push down even. Okay, my gap looks about right, but I've got to come out quite a bit more still yet. My gauges are a little bit rusty in places. I'm going to find a spot that ain't got a lot of rust on it. These things have been sitting around down here in this old basement for a while. Now 13 fits in there pretty good. It's a little bit loose. It's probably closer to a 14. So I got a ways to go before I get to my 19. I'll just lay that on the table. See, now my gap is actually not tapered smaller toward the cylinder. Now my gap is pretty even because I was trying to stay at a little bit of an angle. If you're good at seeing differences in things, not everybody is. Everybody's got their own little things that they're good at. I can look at things and tell, you know, if they're level and stuff like that. So, I mean, if you're good at seeing things like this, you're good at mechanics, you'll have no problem with this. Just take your time with it. You can always take off more metal, but once you take off too much, you can't put it back. And I really don't want to spend another $30 and some change on a set of rings, so I'll take this little by little. Until I get it just right. I'm going to try to keep this short and simple because the last video was way too long. I didn't mean for it to get that long. Sorry guys. A lot of people probably won't watch a video that's that long. So forgive me if I'm in a hurry. Let me check a 17. Nope, I'm still not even to a 17 yet. And I'm trying to get to 19. So pull that back out. A little bit more filing. Keep my light close where I can see it good. It's a little too close. Can't focus both my eyes on it. Lord, forgive me for filing these toward the outside. I'm supposed to file them toward the inside. Those of you that's hand sharpened chainsaw chains, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about trying to keep these things straight at a certain angle. No burr. Alright guys, apparently my phone cut out I was working on the rings. You can see here, gap looks pretty good and straight. My gauge, I can just get it just right. It slides in there. And that's a 19. Yes, this thing is rusty and old. I took some 6000 grit sandpaper to it and smoothed it off. So it is smooth. I ain't got anything catching here. Probably can't even see it. But I got 19 on there. That's that. The other 2 cylinders have been done. I've got the stuff laying over here. This is just a junk pile of engine stuff where I tore the motor apart originally. So now my top rings are set. I got to go through and do the second rings, which I'm not going to bother doing on video. We know most of it now. I'm doing 19 on the top ones. And doing 19 on the top rings, and I think I'm going to go with about a 3 to 4 difference. So 23 or 24. I might just go with 23 on my second rings. And on your oil rings, as long as it's not over 50, you're good from what it says. As long as you're not over 50. So under 50, be all right. I done got my oil filter sandwich thing on here. I'm gonna have to tap in, use one of these, I guess, for my turbo oil line, and one of the other ones, I don't know which one I'll use. They all 3 go in the same chamber, but I'll use the other one for my gauge. Well, I guess that's it for this video. All 4 top rings are done, and I'm going to do the second rings and the oil rings, and if I got time, I might just go ahead and put the pistons in. But I think the wife's already home, so I need to get to work and get out of this basement here in a minute. We'll see y'all on the next one. Alright, we're back. Piston rings have all been filed down to the correct size. We've got 3 of the pistons in. We're going to put the 4th one in. Back side of the block, front side of the block. Flywheels over here. You've got an arrow. You can see it. There's an arrow on the piston. Points toward the flywheel. Your little cutouts for your valves. The exhaust is smaller than the intake. The intake has got a little bit larger cutout. If you look at the bottom of your head, your intake valves are larger. So that's another way you know the arrow points that way. Ease this down in here. I've already got the rings on. I've been working too hard. I can't remember nothing right now. The bearings on. Everything's on. Don't give me a hard time. Sometimes you gotta fight them. Just don't force them too much. All's well. I got grease everywhere. The engine lube, put you a little bit in your cylinder, lube it up before you go sticking it in there. Oh, I don't know if I can get it around here and get it even on camera. Put it upside down. It's hard to see. I've already got lube on my other bearing. Now, your notches in the bearings, where they line up on the end cap, you've got a little U-shaped notch I don't know how well you can see it right here. Got a little U-shaped notch. The way the bearings come on the rods, the notch on this lines up with the notch on the rod, except for they're on opposite sides. But this goes together. This is a plain blank spot. It doesn't, so I'm putting it back together like that. Since the manufacturer shipped them like that, I can only assume that that is how they go. I'm no genius here by any means, but I figure it's common sense that it's going to go back together that way. I've already got anti-seize on the bolts. I've got a mess. Anti-seize everywhere. I've actually got to back out a couple bolts because I forgot to put anti-seize on them. I got in a big hurry. I've been down here for a few hours planning this. But get to run them in here. I'm not torqued them yet. I'm just running them down by finger, by hand, snugging them up for now. Then I might be done for the night. I just wanted to get some of this done, put together, so I can hurry up and get a video out here. I'll have to look again at my screenshots, but from what I can remember, I've got a screenshot of torque specs for the D16. I think it's got the Y8 on it also, but this is the Z6, and it tells you the specs for everything in the engine pretty much for the most part, but it tells you the specs of your rod bearing cap bolts here, and then it also tells you that if you have ARP bolts, what the specs on it is, and it's much higher. If I can remember right, it's somewhere around 60 foot-pounds of torque or something like that, somewhere in that area of the 60s for the ARPs. But for the factory bolts, I think it's down around 45 or something like that. Don't hold me to it. Do your Google research. But that's pretty much the gist of it. They're in. You can see them. I'm not sure if you can or not. I gotta pull a couple out here in a minute though and go through and put some anti-seize back on them. Did it come with? But that should be it. I know I cut the last one off. The first video was only 10 minutes long. For some reason my camera cut out at 10 minutes. I don't know why, but 10 minutes it cuts out. So I'm gonna have to piece these together. This being the third one. The second one was only a couple minutes long. But I'm just trying to keep it short and sweet. I'll get back to the torque specs, or I'll post them down below. That should be it. We'll see y'all next time. Peace out.